Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mr. Tron. I have the privilege to introduce the SMT, school management team of the school, to you. So, in other words, if you have any problems in the near future, you will know exactly who to contact and who to speak to. Can I please just ask, if I call your name, to stand up so everyone can see your beautiful face? Right, firstly we have Mr. Ferreira. He's one of our deputy principals. He's currently busy with an expedition doing marketing for the school. He is head of the Department of CAT, IT, Technology and EGD. He is also in charge of the drug testing. Mr. De Wet will elaborate on that a bit later. And then, like I said before, he is in charge of the marketing and advertising of the school. Then, secondly, we have Ms. Venter, also currently unavailable. She's not here with us tonight. She's the head of Department for Business Studies, Accounting, EMS. She's also in charge of all the admin of the school, the cell phone rules and policies. I think you will hear about that a bit later, so please pay attention when I think Mr. De Wet will speak about that as well. And then also very important, the lates. At Roosevelt High School, we take late coming very seriously, so parents, please pay attention to that, so your young ones is not late for school. Then Mrs. Molokoti, who is currently on maternity leave, lucky. She's head of department for tourism, religion studies, consumer studies, and she's also in charge of the uniform. So in future, if you have any problems with regard to the uniform, you can just contact Mrs. Molokoti. Then, Ms. Hickey, Deputy Principal. She is the head of academics for the school, so everything with regards to academics goes through Ms. Hickey, and she also communicates with all the HODs of the school. She's also head of department for English. Then the rest of the SMT, we have Mr. Lombard. Mr. Lombard is head of department for visual arts, creative arts and design. He is also the sports master of the school. Mr. Mortimer. Mr. Mortimer is head of department for social sciences, geography, history, hospitality, and he is also in charge of managing the school grounds, all the buildings and the ground staff. Ms. Hall. Ms. Hall is the head of department for life sciences, natural sciences, physical sciences, sports and exercise sciences. Mr. Beer. Mr. Beer is head of department of Afrikaans. She's also in charge of all the cultural activities, which she will talk about a bit later, and she's also currently the grade manager for the grade 11 girls. So if there's any new parents with a grade 11 girl, this is the person that you can come in contact with. Mrs. van Jaarsveld. Mrs. van Jaarsveld is the head of discipline. She's also in charge, I think, of the code of conduct. So if there's any queries with regards to a grade manager, you need to come in contact with, I want to say, the grade manager's boss. That will be the person that you get in contact with. Then myself, obviously. I am Mr. Tron, like I said before. I am the head of department for maths and maths literacy. Then, last but not least, Mr. De Wet, our pristine principal. He will obviously then speak to you guys a bit later.
So I don't have a job.
And he don't have a job. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, everybody. Mr. Tron, thank you so much for all the introductions. You set the parents up by saying our beautiful faces, only to let them down, and that's not really fair. But thank you for that. We are now going to ask Mr. Lombard to please come up, and he is going to address you all on uniform and extramurals.
Thank you, Ms. Hickey. So it's my privilege to speak about the uniform and sports. So I'll first off start with the uniform. I would just like to remind parents and learners that it's summer uniform, and we're quite strict on the learners wearing the correct uniform. Therefore, please make yourself aware of the uniform regulations out of the code of conduct, which every person or every child received. Also, if the uniform regulations are not adhered to, then there will be Friday detentions. You had notice of that. So if you want to spend a Friday afternoon here, you're welcome. I've got people to assist with that. So please. I would like to thank all the parents that actually assist, because it's not that many uniform mistakes we've got at the moment. So I would like to thank parents for making sure their learners are properly dressed in the mornings when dropping them off. Then with the sport started this year with a bang. The second day after school started for learners, we started with our sport, which is so nice. COVID robbed us from this opportunity and we took it back with force. Thank you for all the learners participating, and thank you for parents picking learners up after practices. Just a few things to remember with regards to that is that learners must be dressed correctly. So either they will be dressed in their full school uniform or they're dressed in their normal practice clothes. Please, no mixing and matching in that regard. Also, the practice times is on the website as well as Facebooks and so forth. So please make sure that the parents that you know exactly what times they are. Then one thing is that when we've got up our matches, it is very important for parents to make sure that their learners, that their children are picked up timeously after a game. Each and every learner, before they go for a fixture, will receive a letter stating when the sport will take place, where it will take place, what time we'll be back. And I would like to urge parents to please consider the staff as well and make sure that their transport arrangements is according to the letter. It is very disheartening for coaches to have to stay after school, after matches, and then have to wait 2, 3, 4 hours for parents to pick up learners. So please, can I just ask that everybody makes sure that their transport arrangements are done correctly. Then, this year we're back with our sports tours as well. So that's something to look forward to, grade 8, because you will next year get an opportunity to participate. This year, our rugby, netball, hockey will be going to, the first teams will be going to Margate Sports School, which is quite nice, and they get to go and see the coast and swim in the sea and so forth. And our junior teams, that's our under 15 teams, will be going to Bella Bella, just outside Warm Baths, to a very nice nature reserve, which is also a sports school where we'll do practicing, coaching, and some matches. So we're looking very much forward to that. And I would like to thank parents. There might be some parents here that's already paid for those tours, so thank you very much for that as well. Then we're looking very forward to the sports this year. We've got jam-packed sporting activities from term 1 till term 3 and 4. So we're looking forward to that, and I would like to thank all the parents for all your assistance with the sports and so forth. Thank you. Thank you, Maziki.
Thanks, Mr. Lombard. I think grade 8's what Mr. Lombard forgot to tell you. That is, if you do go on tour and you misbehave, you come straight back. So that's worth bearing in mind, I think. The next person who's going to address you, please, is Mr. Beer, and she is going to talk to us about the cultural activities at the school.
Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, and especially new learners. I would like to start off my speech, which is not actually a speech, but with a quote that I feel actually means a lot if you take it to heart. It goes, "There's no wrong way of doing art. It is an expression of the individual." Now, as Mr. Lombard said, there's a lot of sporting opportunities, but we also have a lot of cultural activities that I've got a huge passion for, and I know the coaches that's part of culture also has a huge passion for. So just for the parents' information, our school has a few activities. The first one is public speaking for all grades, from grade 8 all the way to matric. We've got junior and senior debating, drama for both junior and senior, and last year we won huge awards with grads competitions. Then we also already started with our choir auditions. Our choir sounds amazing, and I'm not sure how many people are aware of the fact that our choir actually sang last year at the CEO Global Summit. So we were invited to go sing in front of huge companies and CEOs, not only in South Africa, but worldwide. Then something that's very close and dear to Mr. De Wet's heart, and I'm sure many of our hearts as well, is Night of the Stars that we have every year, where the kids actually compete, well, let's not say compete, but perform, and every single child has an opportunity to be on stage, to experience what it is to do a live performance in front of a whole audience. That will take place only later in the year, but we are very excited for it. Then also, our cultural activities, not only internal, but also I Stetford, and we also achieved great awards last year with that. And then I need to say that this year we're starting a new initiative at our school, and I'm very excited and very amped up to actually promote this. We are starting the ATKV, yes, very Afrikaans, Afrikaanse Taal en Kultuurvereniging, where we actually give learners the opportunity to achieve greatness not only on school level, but also outside of school, and see what opportunities they have that lies ahead. If there's any questions regarding any cultural activities, please feel free to send me an email or phone the school. I'm more than happy to answer any queries or questions. Thank you.
And now we're going to ask one of our learners to address you. Tseho, please come and tell everybody about your high school experience.
Good evening, school. Good evening, learners. Good evening, parents, SMT, teachers. My name is Tseho Waleseho. High school is a strange period in a person's life. From the awkwardness of trying to develop an identity in primary school to immediately maturing the moment your foot grazes high school soil. Much as we hate to admit it, school is usually the best part of our life. At Roosevelt, we embolden our students to try and make sure they use the best of their time, because once it's over, it'll never come back. At Roosevelt, we pride ourselves on education, but most importantly, we provide a safe space for learners to acknowledge their individuality and their uniqueness. I encourage you, grade 8s, to make the most of your time in high school and never let it pass you by, because remember, time heals, it steals, and it flies. But in the same vein, time is something we make, take, save, and spend. Thank you.
Thank you, Tseho. Mrs. van Jaarsveld is now going to speak to you about the disciplinary procedures and the code of conduct.
Good evening, parents, SGB, SMT, and esteemed guests. Don't worry, parents, my speech is only 10 pages long. And I'm a woman, so I like to talk. Firstly, I'm Mrs. van Jaarsveld. I'm the HOD of discipline. So what does that mean for you and your child? It means when your child gets to my office, he or she is in trouble. Grade 8, we know they are still cute, some of them. Grade 9, they're somewhere between human and hell. Grade 10, they have more attitude than brains, especially the girls. And then when they get to grade 11, they mature a little bit, and you can actually, as a parent, can have a proper conversation with your child. What I'm trying to say, parents, is this is a journey. The code of conduct of our school is here to guide the school and you and the learners on what is acceptable behavior and what is not. Yes, we are strict. Learners do not like that. But we are a success, the school is a success because of the discipline in the school. And it works. We follow disciplinary procedures as stated by our Code of Conduct. And if you have not read the Code of Conduct yet, parents, you did receive in the welcome pack, grade 8s, a Code of Conduct. Please go through it with your child and make sure that you understand our rules and regulations. Because that's one thing we will not budge on, is our Code of Conduct. When we do punish your child, it's not to be punitive, but it's to correct unacceptable behavior. We follow, like I said, we follow disciplinary procedures, and the first step in that is contacting the grade manager. I know that parents do get upset, and you immediately want an appointment with Mr. De Wet, but your grade manager is your first port of call, because your grade manager knows your child. They know what is going on. So I'm going to ask that there's the contact details of each and every grade manager is on the website. I'm quickly going to introduce each and every grade manager, if you can just quickly stand up. Grade 8, Miss Halley, for the girls. Mr. Scholes, for classes A to F. Mr. Mavimbela, classes G to L. So in other words, grade 8 parents, if there's anything that you're worried about your child, if your child comes home and you hear a horrible story of something that happened at school, please send an email to the grade manager so we can make an appointment and we can sort this out. Grade 9's Ms. Greiling for the girls. Mr. Kutzer, classes A to F. Mr. Muneka, okay, he's classes G to L. Grade 10, Ms. A. Gori. Mr. Miles is for males. I'm sure you know his face. Grade 11's Mr. Beer, here in front, for the girls, and then Mr. N.H. De Wet for the boys. Grade 12's Mr. O'Sullivan, and then Ms. Modise for the girls. Thank you, ma'am. I believe teachers have superpowers, especially grade managers. Their job is to look after your child, after the well-being of your child, but they do also teach the whole day. They have extramurals. I've just said that please, if there's any issues, please contact your grade manager, but I'm asking just a little bit of patience. If they do not get back to you immediately, they will the next morning. If you do not get any joy from that, then you can contact me, and I'll make sure that they do their job. I might hand out a few detentions as well. One thing I want to reiterate, and what's very, very important, vaping. I do appreciate that some parents allow it at home, but according to law, vaping is still illegal. If your child brings a vape to school or vapes at school, it's illegal. On Roosevelt property, anything associated with Roosevelt, it is not acceptable behavior. Any questions that you have, anything, please, you are welcome to email me, C. van Jaarsveld, also very Afrikaans. But please email me, and then we'll see if we can sort out the issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. van Jaarsveld. Parents, grade 8, we are very, very proud of our matric results. We are one of the top 10 schools in the district. We have a very competitive pass rate in grade 12, and we have a large number of bachelor passes. For those of you who are unclear, there are 3 matric passes that are possible. One is the bachelor's pass, which allows entrance to university. Second is a diploma pass, which does not allow entrance into university, but any other institution that offers a diploma. And the third is a higher certificate, which is a matric certificate. We must also all bear in mind that without a matric certificate in today's world, It's virtually impossible to find employment. So we're very, very proud of the results that we achieve at the end of the year, but at the same time, we are humbled because there's never a time with matric results that we ever sit back and say, okay, we've done our job. We're always going to try harder. We're always going to encourage learners to do better. And we've got a number of ways which we do that. First of all, and grade 8s, you need to listen here. The staff that you have come across at Roosevelt High are extremely committed. They are well experienced, and every intention of the staff is in the interests of the learners. Unfortunately, parents, we already do have some grade 8s who do not value the money you are paying for them to be at our school. Because grade 8s, you need to realize that those learners who are sitting in matric now or have been in matric over the past few years, they get the results they get because they work from grade 8. It's where everything starts. And every year when we do an awards evening, the same sort of names keep coming up for getting prizes for distinctions and for scrolls and full colors and so on. Those are the learners who are committed from the word go. Unfortunately, and this is true, there are learners who could be amongst that group, but who aren't, because they don't yet have that routine, they don't yet have that attitude or that commitment. One of the reasons why we do so well is we do not drop our standards. So many of you are going to find that when you start doing assessment, and this is across the board of new learners to the school, you're going to find that your marks will drop. It's fine. We have a standard that we need to maintain. But your job is actually to meet our standard. So we expect that should the marks drop at the beginning, they then start moving up. So we need to bear in mind that there is a minimum pass rate, and that minimum pass rate is determined by the Education Department, the National Education Department. And they say, what is the least mark that you can get per subject in order to be promoted? It's low. The minimum marks are low. We can't change the minimum marks, but we can tell you that we expect more than the minimum. Because the minimum is not going to get you anywhere if you get the minimum in grade 8. Then you get less than minimum in grade 9, and so on throughout your schooling career. So where minimum pass rate, don't get all excited and say, oh, yippee, I passed. We should look at the quality of the pass more than the fact of it. I would like to just give you an example of the dangers of looking for minimum requirements. So theoretically, in the FET phase, grade 10, 11, and 12, theoretically, a pass for English is 40, and any other subject can be passed with 30%. And this is where media and Facebook and Instagram and all of these people get this idea that a 30% pass. So we had a young boy last year. He achieved his 40% in English. He achieved 40% in a second subject. And theoretically, he passed every other subject because he got 30 or above. But he failed matric. So he needed another 40%. So don't fall into this trap of thinking that 30% is actually the pass that is going to get you through. It really, really isn't. Parents, I need to speak to you, and I need to speak to learners now about homework. So what we need to understand about homework is that the word itself, by definition, means work that is done at home. So homework comes in different forms. It is either specific, certain pages, certain exercises. It could be a little bit more general, read pages 5 to 7, or the teacher might not say anything at all. Now, parents, it's very easy because your children will tell you that they don't have homework. They will. They don't want to. But not wanting it is not the same as not having homework to do. You see, even if nobody said, you must do exercise 5, A to Z, and so on, work was done at school that day. Your children need to go through whatever they did at school that day. They need to revise it. They need to make summaries. They need to be preparing for the next day. And once they've done all of that, or even during it, please, parents, they have to read. They have to read. Every single subject, irrespective, depends on a grasp of English, as we are English language of learning and teaching school. The better the English, the more capable the children will be. Parents, that's your responsibility. So I've given ours. We've got the teachers, we've got the expertise, we've got the time, we've got the energy, we've got the interest, we've got the caring, we've got everything that we feel we need. Learners, you have to work in class, you've got to cooperate, you've got to prepare now, start preparing for grade 12. Parents, please. Your children may be teenagers, but they're still little. And they're still your children, and they still live in your home, and you're still in charge. Check their work daily, please, parents. Check it. Don't let them get away with telling you that they're done. They are never, ever done. Never. It's just not possible. So between the three groups, learners, parents, and teachers and staff, we will work together so that this year and then the next 4 years are fabulously successful years for you, grade 8s. Welcome to Roosevelt, and we trust that you do well and enjoy your stay. Thank you, Mrs. Hickey. So, if we can have the RCL deputies now, please, and they are going to talk us through the 5 pillars that our school represents.
Good evening, SMT educators. Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, SMT educators, parents, learners, and fellow RCL members. I am Aiden Lilienfeld, the Deputy Head Boy of Roosevelt High School, and I'm honored to stand here tonight with an aim to encourage each and every one of you to be who you are. Inclusion is one of our 5 pillars of education and one of the bases from which the school's success has been built upon. At this school, we make it a priority to include, celebrate, and respect every culture, religion, race, and gender. And therefore, there is a zero tolerance for bullying at Roosevelt High School. Here, you will be protected. Roosevelt High School offers an inclusive environment, an environment in which all of you can thrive in. Inclusive educators who believe in valuing students' differences and supporting their learning needs to the greatest extent possible. The school provides equal opportunities and resources, and I want to encourage every learner to make use of the opportunities and resources provided by the school, which will allow you to showcase the talent that you possess. Make yourself proud. I know that the adjustment to high school may seem tough right now, but trust me, once you find your balance and a schedule that works for you, it will become easier. I encourage and motivate us to help one another, because the next few years of your life, you'll be faced with many challenges. But I want you to all remember that you're not on this journey alone. The school is here for you, your teachers, the leaders of the school, and most importantly, your family. It is not about the challenges you are going to face. It is about how you're going to react to these challenges. If you fall 7 times, get up 8, because after all, you have learned 7 new lessons. Rise above, because in life, after you have been faced with a storm and you come out of it, you'll not be the same person that walked into it, and that is what the storm is about. When you can't control what is happening to you, control how you respond to it. That's where your power is. Be better than you were yesterday. Be who you are. I'd like to leave you all with a quote by Martin Luther King. Inclusion is not simply about physical proximity. It is about intentionally planning for the success of all students. Thank you.
Good evening, parents. Good evening, teachers. Good evening, SMT, and all the new students to the school. I will be speaking on the pillar of excellence. So excellence is a habit. It is a lifestyle. In Roosevelt, we strive to integrate this attitude, this habit, into all aspects of our lives. We, as students who attend this prestigious learning institution, should embody excellence in the way we communicate, in our uniform, in our academics, in our sports and cultural activities. Even when we are not at school, we should always strive to embody excellence. When you partake in your favorite sport, in your favorite pastime, you should always strive for excellence. Do the best that you possibly can. I am a Christian, and my motivation for excellence is do everything as though the Lord is always watching you. This pushes me to strive for the best possible outcome in all that I do. This does not mean that you will always be successful. No. Everyone will experience failure, but you will be proud. You will be proud of what you've done and the effort that you've put in. You will know that even though you might have failed the first time, you will always strive for better things. In the pursuit of excellence, you pick up other traits such as commitment to the process and also respect for those who have already embarked on the journey towards excellence. In closing, I would like to say that each and every one of you, both parents, teachers, everybody, should strive for excellence because it will increase both your experiences and the type of life that you live. Thank you.
Good evening, parents, teachers, staff, and fellow learners. My name is Amura Nanyeni, one of your 3 deputy head boys for 2023. Tonight I've been given the perfect opportunity to speak about one of the 5 pillars of education here at Roosevelt High School, commitment. I'm a true believer that commitment is a word that truly shows one's passion and is a perfect illustration of one's true character. And I'll tell you why. Over my very short 17 years of living and walking on this planet, one thing I've come to realize is it's very easy to say no, but even easier to give up. But through commitment, we, as observers, are able to see one person's true character. We're able to see the willingness people carry and are able to see the true passion they have within their hearts. Ladies and gentlemen, parents, teachers, I've been at the school for what's coming to be my 5th and final year. And one thing I can truly say, I promise I was not paid to say this, is that I have become a walking testimony of the commitment of the learners, staff, and my fellow RCL here. I've noticed this commitment on the sports field, but more importantly in the classrooms as well. I promise again, I have not been paid. To my fellow Rissies, the new learners here, welcome to Roosevelt High School. Welcome to your new journey. It's going to be tough. You will be tested. You will be pushed. But one thing I want to say is let our commitment be the final say. Let us leave commitment as the final say. Let us commit ourselves to being committed. Thank you.
Good evening to our esteemed SMT members, staff, and parents, and fellow learners. I am Kimanelo Pelle, Deputy Head Girl of 2023. I would like to welcome our new learners and to thank all parents for availing themselves for this evening. Roosevelt High School is a school based on 5 pillars, with empathy being one of them. Empathy is one's ability to understand other individuals emotionally by imagining how the person could be feeling. It is through commitment that a connection is built between learners and teachers, which gives rise to having compassion for one another. In our school, rules are implemented without forgetting that each and every learner comes from different backgrounds, and we all strive to uphold and integrate with one another's diverse cultures, values, and beliefs. Empathy is considered the prompting factor for selfless behavior. Through the school's reinforcement of this quality, we have been able to combat detrimental elements such as stealing, all kinds of bullying, conflicts, and unkind conduct. The Representative Council of Learners has been put in place to listen to and to help all of you new learners to navigate your first year in Roosevelt. Therefore, it is within every learner's right to seek and receive assistance in confidence. Remember, learners, empathy can be learned and practiced by each and every one of us to create an improved and healthy learning environment. Thank you.
Good evening and a warm word of welcome to our principal, Mr. De Wet, the SGB chairman, Mr. Vala, and the school governing body, as well as the senior management team, grade managers, and the dedicated teachers that are still working at this hour. Finally, I would love to take this opportunity to welcome our grade 8 learners and your parents. I'm Kirsten Vala, the Deputy Head Girl of 2023. This badge and blazer was awarded to me based on my dedication and, most importantly, respect, which I show to everyone and everything I surround myself with. Respect, if you have not noticed, is one of our 5 pillars of Roosevelt High School. Many would think they know what respect is, but the definition I came across is admiration of something or someone as a result of their abilities, achievements, or qualities. This made me take a moment to evaluate what does it mean to Roosevelt High School. Respect means that you accept somebody for who they are, even though they are different from you or disagree with them. Respect is a sign language that conveys what you feel for the other in a simple and positive way. There is a famous saying, treat others the way you wish to be treated. If you wish to be respected, this is important that you treat others with equal respect. I will never forget, I was in a grocery store with my mother in school uniform when I came across a lady who stopped me and said the exact words, "Roosevelt High School children are so well-mannered and have so much respect, regardless of where, when, or what the circumstances are. The first thing they do is greet." I was so proud of my school and the rules and regulations that I instilled every single day. Like our vision states, Roosevelt High is to produce global, humane citizens who can reach their maximum potential on all levels, coupled with long life passion for learning and a sound self-worth, enabling them to succeed in a fast-paced and ever-changing world. I'd like to close off my speech with a quote which goes as follows. Self-respect is what leads to self-discipline. It is hard to respect the self to the absence of self-discipline. This was written by Clint Eastwood. Thank you to everyone in attendance.
Parents, learners, we're now going to, I'm now going to ask Mr. De Wet to stand up. He's going to address you. And Mr. De Wet, if I could also ask you to please welcome our esteemed guests this evening.
Thank you, Mrs. Hickey. I kindly take instructions from you, ma'am. Dear parents, I would like to start with you. A hearty word of welcome. Thank you for your time tonight. I truly appreciate that. I know life is fast-paced. I know you've got responsibilities, and that you showed up in this number says a lot. Thank you for your choice of Roosevelt High School, for entrusting us with your most precious possession, and that is your child. I will elaborate a bit more on that. And also, well done, and I'm so glad that we could accommodate you. And I apologize for the last few parents that had to fight bitterly to get into the school. It is because we really are full, but we could have honestly placed another 400 kids at Roosevelt High School. So well done, thank you, and congratulations that you actually became a part of this great family. Grade 8s, thank you for your kind attendance. Thank you for looking the way that you do. Thus far, your behavior is immaculate. Please keep that up. You look so great. And if I were you, and I sit in a school where I can aspire to be somebody like these good people that spoke to you, I would tonight go home and thank my parents for that. The education system is not fair in our country. The school that you are in does have a great influence on your matric results, and therefore the school is so blessed to have the support of members of our district office, my circuit manager, Ms. Leguti, and her husband Dan, that became a parent. So I will call you to come and have tea with me, and also like our ideas, ma'am, also very, very welcome, and I'm so glad that you could make it. My good staff in front of me, that starts every morning on time. You can see some of them are dressed still in the sports attire. They come from the sports fields. And my SMT behind me that have the great privilege of meeting me every morning after their lives at 6:30. I wanted to sleep a bit later sometimes, but they insist on the early mornings. Thank you for that. And they look forward to meet and greet me early in the mornings. So to each and every one of you, from my side, thank you. Thank you, everybody that's here. The learners that have just spoken, I could not have said that better. And for that, I am so proud. Because I actually don't have a problem that in certain senses you're more clever than me. And that's good, and that's great. Because we got you like little siblings like that, and you become this. And isn't this why we are in school? Dear parents, if I sit where you are, you have heard a lot about rules, regulations. I could sense, perhaps if I were you, a bit of a sense of a fear. What is this big place about? It seems to only have rules, and we are strict, and we this and we that. Let me tell you why you are here. Let me perhaps try to give you an overall sight of what we are trying to do. We start when your child enters the school with a grade manager. Now, the grade manager is the person in the first instance that actually cares about your child, as every staff member does. We have tried to minimize the number of learners in our class. We are a bit fuller, ma'am, than what we wanted to be, good ladies in front. But even with that constraint, we will still know each and every child. I can tell you, parents, my staff will be here every day. If they're sick, they phone me, they ask permission to be sick. I often say no. They plan their operations and sick notes in the holidays. If they are not here, I give you my word, your child will still be taught that day. We have a system where someone else look at the learners. I give you my undertaking, good parents. The teachers in the school are prepared. I can tell you, as I said in my electronic newsletter, the assessment for this term was already done the end of last term. My staff know what to teach. My staff are educated. My staff are committed. They are good people working hard. And on the other side of the equilibrium, we also try to make their working environment as pleasant as I possibly can. We try to give them the tools of the trade, a proper classroom, a laptop if they need it, those sort of things. New teachers are guided by a grade manager, by an HOD, by a subject head. All of these things are in place when new learner comes to school. After all, that is why you pay school fees in the end of the day. But as much as the grade managers look after the well-being of your child, it's also their responsibility to look after the discipline. And you've heard that word many a times tonight. I can assure you, dear good parents and grade 8s, without discipline in the school, unfortunately, there is nothing. There will be no good school where there is no discipline. Staff members that has joined us from other schools in our vicinity have just said to me when I spoke to them, in previous schools they use half a period to calm the learners down and then only begin to teach. Here, we do not do that. Grade 8s, you've heard the pillars. You will also abide by that. And that is not a choice. Your choice lies in the fact whether you are here or at a different school. If you have decided to come here, you have no choice but to abide by the code of conduct. That will never be discussed, as Mrs. van Jaarsveld said. The code of conduct is the one thing that, from myself, everybody at this school abide by. Learners in this school will at all stages be treated with respect, one of our pillars. But grade 8s, you will at all times show respect towards the teachers. We don't spend 5 minutes on calming a class down in the school. Learners stand, they sit in a certain place, they sit down, we start teaching and learning. That's why our pass rate is 99%, which I'm not totally happy with. We aspire to have 100%, and you will please do that for me. I'm asking you, I'm instructing you to have 100% pass rate by the time you get to grade 12. So, these are part of who we are. But if there's a constraint, dear parents, if you don't have a textbook, your child don't have that textbook, you don't have perhaps the money for it, speak to your grade manager or write me a private mail or a note. Your child will have a textbook the very same day. If there are other constraints at home, we are here to help. Sometimes things happen in life that in the current economic climate, perhaps everything is not going the way it should be. I want no child to be hungry at school. That child cannot learn. If there's any constraints like that, please, I'm asking, for the sake of your child, humble yourself, come to me, I will treat it with the utmost respect. And if there's anything that I can do, I promise you it will happen. With confidence, with sensitivity, with empathy. I don't want any child to be disadvantaged. I don't want any learner to be unhappy. But once again, this knife cuts to both sides. As one of the RCL members said, no bullying will be tolerated. Absolutely no. No racism will be tolerated in this school. Funny enough, every year we experience 1 or 2 incidents of racism. Where? In grade 8, not in the senior grades. I will eradicate that with immediate effect. Immediate effect. You've heard about all the opportunities that grows you as a person. Dear parents, encourage your children to make use of that. If there's a sports tour and you really cannot afford it, you come and speak to me. Your child may not miss any opportunities due to financial and or other constraints. We are here to help you. Everything we do at this school, we take the child's interest at heart first and foremost. There's a reading period. There's lots of reasons for that. Learners at this school is encouraged to read. Miss Luguti drove past a bus stop one day and she called me afterwards. She said she saw a learner waiting for a bus, busy reading. Now that's what we want. We don't waste time here. We teach, we read, we love, we live, we take part in sport and cultural activities. The one problem though that we might have is when learners are enticed by the other side of our communities to participate in drug abuse or use or that thing. You cannot believe it, but it starts in primary school. I invite any learner, currently that have a problem in this regard, to either speak to your grade manager or come to me. I give you my word, I'm going to help you. I give you my word. However, if you are caught with drugs at this school, and if I can, or if I just have a suspicion that you try and give that or sell that to another learner, I give you my utmost word, you will no longer be a learner here. There will be zero tolerance towards drug use, abuse, and especially distribution. Because, dear parents, the moment your kid gives drugs to another learner, in my eyes, they are drug dealers. And I will not tolerate that. The system is the following. The law says, I don't need your permission to test for drugs. And I will test. And I will test randomly. And I will test often. Be assured of that. If you're not happy with that, this is the one thing, then I actually don't care. The law says I must inform you about the outcome of such a test, which I will do. Sometimes, in a hearing, the process is drug test, the learner is sent home for 5 days home supervision. Then there's an SGB hearing chaired by the chairman or his delegate. I am present there. And if I feel there is assistance to be handed, or if I feel that this learner might be persuaded or helped on the right path, we will do that. But the moment I establish that this learner is a drug dealer, my request will be that the learner is expelled. And we have expelled a number of learners last year. I repeat myself, drug dealing will not be tolerated. Why? 99% of the parents bring their kids to me in the morning. As in parentis locus, I'm responsible for your kids. And dear parents, I take that extremely serious. I want to guarantee you a safe environment for your kids. No bullying. I cannot guarantee no exposure to drugs, but I can guarantee you no dealing in this school. Because you as a parent want to know that at this school your child is safe, and I can also say to you, your child is actually loved at this school. We deeply care about the learners that you entrust in our care. I'm also a parent, and I duly understand that. And I really, really take that responsibility extremely serious. I'm asking the parents, if you're called in, don't come and fight. No teacher gets up in the morning and decides, today I'm going to get learner X for something. My good staff don't have the time for that. They're here to teach. They're here to guide. They're here to love your children. If you are called to school, come with an open mind. You can discuss. You can disagree, of course. And we can take discussion as long as we've got one thing in common, and that is the well-being of your child. As I said, every child, every grade 8 that we have accepted in the school, you are indeed welcome. And we as a staff, and me as a principal, want to make sure that you become one of these good people in front of you, because it's possible. Our pass rate, 99%, as I've said. We work on 100% pass rate. Our bachelor's degree pass rate was close to 70%, Mr. Siki. So that means 70% of you that are in grade 8 will have access to university. Isn't that fantastic? Cell phones. You might find it strange that we don't allow cell phones on premises. I cannot tell you how much benefits stemmed from that decision that the SMT and the SGB has made. Learners, the level of bullying is down 80% since we have eradicated cell phones from our premises. Cell phones was a big instrument where learners bullied each other, and learners don't use cell phones often for the correct intention. When cell phones are needed, it will be allowed. But amongst all of these things, we also have fun days. At least one, often 2 fun days per term. And we don't ask any money for a learner to participate in that. We have general fun days for the whole school. The day before school's closed, we're going to have a massive fun day. So we try to also bring a balance to the learners, to make this school as much as a place where success is experienced, but also a fun place where they experience good things. And I want each and every grade 8 learner to be happy for the 5 years that they will be spending with us. Dear parents, if there's anything that you feel unhappy with or do not understand or would just like to discuss, of course, you can speak to the grade manager, you can speak to Mrs. van Jaarsveld, but I also would like to say to you, and this is an invitation, my office door, as for the staff, is open for you. The only thing I ask is that you respect my time and make an appointment. You can understand that I cannot see everybody on a daily basis that just stormed into the foyer. That's also for me a sign of respect. But dear good people, I want to conclude by saying you are, as parents, are indeed welcome at Roosevelt High School. More so your kids. I'm looking forward to 5 years, 5 good years, where we get to learn each other, where we help these learners to succeed. The theme this year with the staff is to rise. And I want to challenge you to also rise above what you think you possibly can do. Rise to the level of excellence of the executive, the RCL grade 8s that you see in front of you. It's possible. Collectively, we can arise, and we can rise, and we can achieve so much more if we take each other's hands. Teaching and the success thereof is based on 3 principles. It's the child, the school, and the working together with the parents. The child, the home, and the school are integrated and interlocked. And dear good parents, if we take hands, I can promise you we will help your children to rise far above what they think even is possible. From my side, a huge welcome to each and everyone at Roosevelt High School. I do thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vet. Parents, one of the traditions that has been around at Roosevelt High for many years is the tradition involving our grade 8 learners and the reciting of a pledge. Now, the pledge is going to be led this evening by Lovemore. There is a ceremony, a lighting of the candles ceremony, and then if you listen carefully to the words of the pledge, you will see to what extent it actually encompasses so much of what has been said here tonight.
I promise to show kindness, consideration, and respect. To myself and per group, my parents. And all the staff of my school. I promise to do my best in everything I do. I promise to involve myself in school. To do the best of my ability. I promise to wear my uniform with pride. And be a good ambassador of my school at all times. With this candlelight, I see enlightenment. Let it shine on me. Let me allow it to shine. Let it light the path of my success. In every area of my life. Thank you. You may be seated.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone for for taking time out of your busy day and joining us this evening. I would like to leave the grade 8s with a final note of encouragement. No one in life is going to work as hard as you to achieve your dream. You have to work with the same amount of vigor and determination as you should. Life is about dreaming big and never quitting until you reach that dream. There is always going to be another mountain, and you're always going to want to make it move. It doesn't matter how fast you get there, and sometimes you're going to have to lose. It's all about what's waiting on the other side. It's the climb. Thank you.